I am the matriarch of the He household. I have devoted myself to managing every matter within the estate, maintaining a respectful yet distant relationship with my husband. That was until my husband, a general, brought home a gentle woman from the south. My once tender-hearted husband changed completely. He neglected his border duties for her sake and even clashed fiercely with me. My son, too, resented my strictness and insisted on adopting her as his foster mother. They conspired to poison me. But unexpectedly, I was reborn, returning to the past. I resolved never to repeat my mistakes. I left him a divorce decree and walked away. After all, my husband's career wasn't built for me, nor was my son's inheritance meant for me. I had given up entirely. Yet later, one by one, they came begging me, tears streaming down their faces. No, don't. I can't die. The image of my own son forcing me to drink poison flashed through my mind, and I struggled desperately. Madam, madam, I snapped back to consciousness, opening my eyes to see my personal maid. Ching'er, Ching'er, you're alive. You're alive. I clutched her arm, tears streaming down my face, my voice trembling. Did you have a nightmare? Madam. Ching'er hurriedly fetched a handkerchief and wiped the cold sweat from my forehead. Perhaps, in the dream, Ching'er had been executed by my general husband for offending Su Weiner. I begged him all night in the pouring rain, but he never once looked at me, so I grew gloomy day after day, even repelling my own son. I'd rather have a different mother than see my world-weary face daily. I patted my chest, relieved. Alive is good. Alive is good. Just as I thought that agony had been nothing but a nightmare, Ching'er spoke, trembling. Madam, I heard the Marquis brought a young lady back. Panic seized me. I urgently asked if she knew who the girl was. Madam, the Marquis calls her Weiner. Yes, the girl he brought back, his new mistress. Su Weiner. Su Weiner, so it wasn't a dream. It was a past that had truly happened. Surveying the familiar surroundings, I couldn't help but sigh. Having been given a second chance at life, I absolutely must not repeat the same mistakes. My husband's career, let it go. My son's scholarly pursuits, let him not take the exams. How wonderful it is to just give up. I'll enjoy my freedom. Madam, aren't you worried? Ching'er murmured, ready to speak up for me. Worried about what? That Song Pei wants to keep her. The Marquis estate is his domain. Naturally, it's his concern. What business is it of mine? I'm not foolish. Should I really lecture Song Pei, urging him not to be ensnared by beauty and squander his ambitions? If Song Pei doesn't want to strive for greatness, so be it. His inheritance won't leave me a single acre anyway. Back when he wasn't yet a marquis, he was just a spirited young general. Without my Li family's backing, without us supporting him, how would he have become a marquis? I bear the Li surname. If his Song family falls, it's none of my concern. My immediate priority is simply to divorce Song Pei. After that, any carefree life I desire will be mine for the taking. Madam, you're far too gentle-natured. Ching'er couldn't contain her indignation. I married Song Pei as a dowry, and now that he's risen in rank, how much of it owes to the Li family's influence? In my previous life, before Ching'er died, she cursed Song Pei as ungrateful and fought for my cause. Enough. It's nothing. If the Marquis likes her, let him have her. I reassured Ching'er, telling her to ease her mind. It wasn't until dinner time that I stepped out of my chambers. Seeing Su Weiner again, my eyes remained utterly still. Song Pei had explained her origins, saying she was a girl who fled the turmoil in Jiangnan. In my previous life, upon first meeting Su Weiner, I had a huge fight with Song Pei. Song Pei, what do you think you're doing? Are you planning to keep her here? He, Weiner is pitiful. She truly has nowhere else to go. Song Pei, you've changed your heart. The promise of one lifetime, one person you made to might was all a lie. He. Stop this. You're supposed to be a lady of refinement. Yet you show no grace whatsoever. Certainly not as well-mannered as Wainer. She does seem pitiful. Arrange a side room for Miss Sue to stay in. I gave the order to the servants casually. My tone flat. Only then did Song Pei lift his head to study me, his surprise vanishing in an instant. Ever since settling in the Marquis residence, Sue Wainer had begun buying off everyone within its walls. Song Hao, my own flesh and blood, gradually turned against me just as he had in my previous life. I didn't care. From the moment I knew I'd been reborn, I'd resolutely abandoned all ties to the Song family, including this son of mine. Mother, Sister Sue bought me pear syrup candy. Mother, Sister Sue brought me a Luban lock. Mother, Sister Sue. His chatter only grated on my nerves. Gradually, Song Hao stopped coming to me altogether, and I was quite content with the peace. In my previous life, as his mother, I had spoiled him and doted on him. I feared he'd eat too much candy and complain of toothaches, so I rationed his sweets daily. I feared he'd play games all day and neglect his studies, so I constantly urged him to read. But what did he do? He blamed me for being too strict, claiming I never let him live a single day of happiness. So be it. There's nothing wrong with becoming a wastrel. Sister, the flowers in the pond are truly beautiful. Sue Wainer tried to strike up a conversation, but I paid her no mind. I kept tending to the paper and brush in my hands, plotting how to explain my divorce from Song Pei to father and mother. Sister, I truly like you. Please at least acknowledge me. She tugged at my writing hand, smearing ink everywhere. Oh, I brushed her fingers away, uttering a single word, neither hurried nor slow. Sister, you can't win against me. Seeing I paid her no mind, she grew frantic, but in a moment of sheer recklessness, she leapt into the lake and vanished beneath the surface. Wainer, without a doubt. Song Pei's voice echoed behind me. Wainer, are you all right? Song Pei pulled the soaking wet Sue Wainer out of the water. His eyes filled with concern. Sister didn't know I can't swim. It's not your fault. Before I could speak, Sue Wainer turned the blame on me, using the exact same words as in my past life. Sue Wainer deliberately framed me. Her light-hearted remark made it seem like it was all my fault. Wainer, it's my fault. Song Pei's anger flared as he looked at the tearful Sue Wainer. He, you've gone too far. I really didn't know how I'd crossed the line. Think whatever you want. Song Hao appeared out of nowhere, hastily assuming I'd done something to his Sue sister. His words brimming with her defense. Mother, what are you doing? I'd love to know what I did wrong. How could this kid blame me without seeing a thing? Enough. Like father, like son, the ancients truly didn't deceive me. Neither of them is any good. I flicked my sleeves dismissively, ignoring the accusations of Song Pei and Song Hao, father and son alike, and returned to my quarters without a second glance. Mother never listens to reason. Sister Sue, please don't be upset. Mother is so strict. Unlike Sister Sue, who is gentle and considerate. I'm sorry you had to endure this. Hearing Song Hao's consoling words to Sue Wainer, I turned away, finding the whole scene utterly laughable. Within days, not only did a reply arrive from the Duchess family, but an elderly matron from the Duke's residence arrived alongside it. Your Lordship, this servant has been sent by the Duke's residence. The matron curtsied to Song Pei, her gaze drifting towards Sue Wainer. You must be exhausted from your journey. Matron. Song Pei always maintained decorum in front of outsiders, mindful of appearances. Given the Duke's household standing, he had no choice but to lower his gaze in respect. Not at all. It's just pitiful how our young mistress has grown increasingly thin since becoming the Marquis' wife. Song Pei couldn't miss the veiled criticism in the matron's words, his face turning ashen. Since you were sent by my father-in-law, he see you settled. Dismissing her with those curt words, Song Pei swiftly slipped away with Sue Wainer, Father and mother were truly unnecessary. A direct divorce would have spared us this journey. Upon opening the letter, my parents' every word urged me not to damage my relationship with Songpei. They still believed I was merely throwing a tantrum, that I was unhappy and thus demanding a divorce. Seeing the resolute tone in my letter, they sent the matron to look after me and investigate the truth. The first few days passed tolerably enough, but after a couple more, the true nature of the entire Marquis household was laid bare. The matron, overcome with anger, disregarded propriety and cursed Songpei. Marquis, how dare you treat my young mistress thus? Have you forgotten how the Duke's household once supported you, enabling your very success? Your lordship, matters have reached this point. The Duke's household won't let this rest. Once the divorce decree arrives, your downfall is certain. Songpei showed no remorse, his gaze as cold as ever. You worry too much. Matron, my treatment of He has been nothing short of respectful. I laughed, not forgetting to add a few crisp claps for good measure. Songpei refused to believe I truly sought divorce. He remained convinced I adored him. He, why bring up divorce out of the blue? I watched the spectacle unfold, offering no defense for Songpei. As he pleaded with me, he seemed utterly certain the divorce was merely the matron's one-sided claim, having nothing to do with me. He, persuade her. Don't let this matter reach father-in-law's ears and trouble the old gentleman. I'm tired. Am going to rest. I left Songpei and the matron behind, paying him no further attention. The next day, the matron hurriedly departed, taking everything she had seen at the Marquis residence back to the Duke's mansion. Before my marriage, I was the sole daughter of the Duke's household, showered with boundless affection. Had I not been blinded by my infatuation with Songpei in my previous life, clinging to him so stubbornly, how could I have ended up in such a predicament? My parents, who cherished me deeply, naturally refused to let me suffer further in the Marquis residence. Soon, the entourage sent to retrieve me arrived. I flung the divorce papers in Songpei's face. Caught off guard, he clearly intended to vent his anger on me. He, it's time to go. The voice belonged to my eldest brother, the Minister of Justicia, position far more prestigious than Songpei's. He, you can't leave. Songpei seized my sleeve, his tone devoid of remorse, as if blaming me for embarrassing him. Songpei, know your place. When our He loved you, you could become a marquis. When our He despised you, you were nothing. My second brother, Li Xiao, wrenched his arm free to grab mine. Songpei, my departure benefits everyone. My gaze fell upon Song Hao and Su Weiner, who stood like a favored concubine and her illegitimate son. Go. Once you're gone, they'll recognize Sister Su as my adoptive mother. From now on, Sister Su shall be the legitimate mother of our Marquis household. Song Hao beamed with delight, eager for my swift departure. Songpei sneered contemptuously. A woman divorced from her husband won't find another man. Oh, does the Duke's household lack men? My eldest brother retorted with such authority that Songpei was rendered speechless. As we parted, I instructed Chinger to tally the dowry items brought from the Duke's residence, intending to take them all with me. Unexpectedly, my son Song Hao objected, blocking my path to seize my dowry. Mother, I won't be going with you. You must leave these things for me. No doubt Su Weiner had taught him she was actually scheming against me. Song Hao, these belong to me. They have nothing to do with your Song family. Song Hao persisted relentlessly, repeating, Mother, I am your son. Is that so? But I refuse to acknowledge you as my son. No son, no burden. Of course, I didn't leave them a single penny. This was my security for the rest of my life. How could I just hand it over? Brother, let's go. I looked back one last time at the house where ID lived for 12 long years, and tears fell. My brother thought I was reluctant and tried to comfort me. That shameless family, it's better to leave them behind. No need to linger. I knew had misunderstood, but offered no explanation. merely agreeing wholeheartedly. How could I regret leaving? This was precisely what I wished for: a new beginning. Tears of joy. Back at the Duke's residence, my days flowed effortlessly, as carefree as they had been over a decade ago. Yet I had underestimated the shamelessness of the Songpei clan, and the baseness of a child like Song Hao. No one dared openly discuss my divorce from Songpei, given the Duke's mansion's backing. But someone on Songpei's side stirred the pot, turning it into a citywide scandal. All accusations aimed squarely at me. I was branded with a series of accusations: unfaithful wife, wicked spouse jealous of her concubine, disrespectful to elders. Rumors even spread that Song Hao claimed I was moody and unpredictable, beating and berating him constantly. If I had harbored any lingering hope for Song Hao before, it was now utterly shattered. Once Su Weiner's child is born, they'll see how carefree he can remain. I myself cared little for the gossip outside, but my parents could not bear to see their cherished daughter slandered. They promptly relayed the matter to the palace. What should have been a private family matter was thrust before the imperial court. The emperor, who held the Li family in high regard, showed no negligence. He immediately dispatched palace attendants to bear witness, severing my ties to the Marquis residence once and for all. Those baseless rumors vanished without a trace. Free from that ill-omened burden, my life began to flourish. The emperor not only sent palace attendants to clear my name but also selected a refined, secluded courtyard for me to reside in. The courtyard was well built, nestled against mountains and beside water. Though not extravagant, it was perfectly suited for my solitary life. In my previous life, I had been consumed by supporting my husband and raising children. Only now, free from them, did I truly understand the meaning of peaceful days. I lived a life of poetic charm to the fullest, recalling how the Songpei father and son had schemed against me in my previous life. I feared retaliation from my husband and son. Thus, I brought a contingent of guards from the Duke's residence. The guards varied in height and build, yet one young attendant stood out among the 20-odd men, pale and slender. He didn't appear to have reached the age of binding his hair. Only after questioning the steward did I learn he was already 17. Night had deepened, lamps flickering in the darkness. Walking alone through the courtyard's long corridor, my ears pricked at a rustling sound. Who goes there? I froze, my heart tightening at the suspicion it might be Songpei's handiwork. 1,000 escape plans flashed through my mind, yet my legs remained rooted to the spot. Princess, it is your servant. I apologize for disturbing you, princess. I squinted and recognized the young guard. It was a false alarm after all, needlessly stirring my anxiety. It's nothing. I was simply too tense. My tense nerves relaxed as I studied the figure kneeling with head bowed. His hands seemed to hold something. Through the light of the hanging lamp, I made out a book. Look up. He obeyed, revealing a face full of youthful vigor. Why are you reading in secret? Do you realize this is abandoning your post? Your Highness. This servant, he stammered for a long while, unable to answer. If you don't speak, I shall dock your pay. After some effort, I coaxed the truth from him. He explained that daytime duties at the mansion were too demanding to allow movement. Though nights offered no leisure, they provided the opportunity to read in secret. Only then did I learn his family was impoverished, unable to afford schooling, forcing him to take a lowly guard position to survive. What is your name? Yu Qi. I took the book from his hands. To my astonishment, it was a treatise on political discourse. Why read such a book? Do you truly comprehend it? I asked, casually posing a few challenging questions. His answers lit up my eyes. Not only did Yu Qi respond fluently, but he declared that though he was but a lowly guard, he harbored lofty ambitions. Though I am but rotten wood today, tomorrow I may yet become a pillar. My ambition is to serve the court, to revive the nation and aid the people. I did not reprimand him, only urged him to study diligently. Those destined for greatness pay little heed to trivialities. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep for a long time. How could sparrows understand the ambitions of a swan? Though I had no desire to be a swan myself, I sensed Yuchi would surely achieve great things in the future. A sudden thought struck me. Since I believed in Yuchi's potential, why not lend him a helping hand? Besides, in my past life I nurtured Song Hao into a top scholar. Why couldn't I cultivate another this time? Though Yuchi's natural talent didn't surpass Song Hao's, he excelled in diligence and self-discipline. Given proper schooling, had surely matched Song Hao's achievements. With my careful guidance, I had faith in both Yuchi and myself. This thought took root in my heart, and I resolved to put it into action. When Yuchi learned I intended to send him to school, a flicker of light danced in his eyes only to vanish in an instant. Princess, as your guard, I have no place in a school. It wasn't unwillingness, but inability. I saw the awkwardness in Yuchi's expression. Rest assured, with me backing you, who dares say you lack the right? Though I may seem idle, sending you to a mere school is a piece of cake. Yuchi clearly still hesitated, not grasping my true intent. Yuchi, I won't invest in this for nothing. I want to see your name inscribed on the golden list. I want you clad in official robes. I want you to govern the realm and bring peace to the land. In short, I want you to rise above the rest. Are you willing to agree? Yuchi knelt in gratitude, tears streaming down his face. Should I ever achieve fame and fortune, I shall never forget the kindness shown to me today. Princess, Yuchi promised to repay me in the future. I smiled and replied, very well. From that day onward, I took Yuchi as my adopted son, raising him under my care. Eventually, his frail body grew somewhat sturdier. Yuchi was diligent, never skipping a day of studying literature or practicing martial arts. Aware of his academic weaknesses, he arrived at the academy early each morning. Chinger. I recall that Howard didn't need to rise so early for school before. It took me several days to realize that while classes began at the same hour for everyone, he arrived so much earlier. Could he be facing bullying? I wondered. Miss, the servants say 7th young master worries his studies aren't progressing well. He leaves for school before dawn each day to memorize his lessons without breakfast. Truth be told, compared to the young masters of the Marquis household, 7th young master is remarkably sensible. The words were blunt but true. Sensible or not, one couldn't skip meals. No wonder he couldn't gain an ounce of weight. Chinger, prepare the carriage and pack these pastries. Go see to your young master at the academy. Your Highness, we humbly welcome you. We did not know of your arrival and failed to greet you properly. Please forgive our oversight. Both the headmaster and the supervisor of the academy came out to meet McQueen at the grand display. Headmaster, you jest. What greeting is needed? But my young master left in such haste he didn't have breakfast. So I came to see him. I motioned to Chinger behind me to bring out a box of ginseng tea, presenting it to the headmaster of Bailu Academy. I heard the headmaster has a fondness for tea, so I brought a box of ginseng tea. I hope you won't find it too humble. I knew well that those who founded academies were upright and virtuous, holding little regard for gold or jewels. Such gifts were better replaced with fine tea or wine. Your thoughtfulness is deeply appreciated. Princess, I am truly flattered. Since I hadn't explicitly stated which young master I'd come to see, the headmaster assumed I was here out of longing for my son, Song Hao. He chattered on about Song Hao's circumstances, mostly in vague terms. Without needing to probe, I understood. He was growing increasingly unruly and neglecting his studies, but I knew deep down that Yuchi would never be like that. Headmaster, have you misinformed me? I questioned him. His face turned anxious, and he hesitated, wanting to speak but holding back. Headmaster, there's no need for alarm. What I mean is, I have no ties to the Ho family estate anymore. My visit to the academy is solely to see my son. Yuchi, the headmaster, still searching for words to defend Song Hao, was stunned by my statement. Yuchi, Young Master Yu is actually the princess man. It was my mistake. My mistake. This was partly my fault. Back then, I'd only sent someone to arrange for Yuqi to be admitted to the academy without explicitly stating he was under my care, since I hadn't clarified things when I arrived earlier. I didn't blame him. The headmaster led me to where the students were studying, arriving just as they had a break. The classroom was noisy, but I spotted Yuqi immediately, sitting diligently in a corner, engrossed in his studies. Ahem, the headmaster cleared his throat once, signaling the students to quiet down before departing. Song Hao must have spotted me, for he turned to chat with his friends nearby, his gaze dripping with disdain. What brings you here? He swaggered over to me, showing not a shred of respect for his elders. The group had been with earlier snickered, and only then did Yuqi notice my presence. Unaware of my reason for coming to the academy, he held his tongue. I told you back then if you didn't leave me that dowry, I'd ask Sister Su to be my adoptive mother. Since you're no longer the mistress of the Marquis household, I certainly won't acknowledge you as my mother anymore. Song Hao deliberately came to humiliate me, not content with mocking the mother who endured 10 months of pregnancy and the pain of childbirth to bring him into this world. He smugly assumed I must be filled with regret over our divorce. He imagined I'd rushed to the academy to find him, desperate for a way back to the Marquis mansion. Young Master Song, kindly face reality. Our young mistress is a princess personally bestowed by His Majesty. Her status is no less than that of some worthless marquis. Moreover, His Majesty has already vindicated our mistress. The fault for her divorce lies entirely with the Marquis household. Young Master Song, cease flattering yourself. The scholars of Bailu Academy are all scions of noble blood. Should word of your insolence reach the imperial court, you'd be charged with treason. Qing'er's sharp tongue left Song Hao speechless. His temper, utterly spoiled, flared into a rage. He swung his fist at her. I shielded Qing'er behind me, certain even the arrogant Song Hao wouldn't dare strike me. But I was deluding myself. Had Yuqi not blocked the blow with his arm, that fist would have landed squarely on me. How dare you! Show no disrespect to the princess. Yuqi was quite skilled. He parried the blow and shoved Song Hao to the ground. Yuqi, you little bastard. How dare you interfere when I'm disciplining someone? I stepped in. How is it none of his business? Qi is now my adopted son, the son of a noble princess. Can I not discipline you? Song Hao clearly refused to back down, cursing. He reeks of commoners. What right does he have to be the prince's son? I am your son. He was the one who chose to acknowledge me, and he was the one who could disown me. Song Hao was after nothing but my power and wealth. I had long seen through him. Yuqi is my only child. I took Yuqi outside, found a pavilion, and offered him some pastries to eat. What are you gloating about? Sister Su is about to marry father. You'll just grow old alone. Song Hao followed us out, hurling insults at me. Oh, congratulations then, I replied curtly. Yuqi shot Song Hao a fierce glare. I told him to ignore him and keep eating. I couldn't be bothered to argue with Song Hao. Anyway, once Su Weiner gave birth to her child, he'd have no standing left in the Marquis household. Then, mother's status would rise with her son's birth. Su Weiner wouldn't need to fawn over him or feign concern anymore. And what good life would he have left? Unable to provoke me, Song Hao slunk away dejectedly. Suddenly, Yuqi looked up at me, his expression earnest. Your Highness, you are a noble princess. You need not be anyone's appendage. Eat your meal, youngster. Stop overthinking things. It's exhausting. Indeed, I need not be anyone's accessory. I live at my own leisurely pace. Utterly different from my previous life. Someone had already submitted a written report detailing every word and deed of Song Hao to the emperor. This matter was trivial, scarcely worthy of imperial attention, yet to ignore it would be to snub the duke's household. The emperor, enraged, flung the memorial aside, his indignation boiling over. That Song Pei, constantly embarrassing this emperor. daring to provoke the old duke who cherishes his beloved daughter above all else. Has he truly forgotten how he ascended to the position of marquis? An imperial edict was issued, sending shockwaves through the Marquis residence. The lesser punishment. Song Hao was confined to the Marquis residence for 3 months to reflect on his actions. The greater punishment. Song Pei was immediately dispatched to garrison the frontier. How could Su Weiner accept this? Their grand wedding was being prepared, not yet even held. Husband, Weiner. Before she could finish, tears fell from Su Weiner's eyes, brimming with grievance. Weiner, I won't abandon you. I'll beg the emperor to revoke the decree immediately. It's all that vile woman He's fault. If only she hadn't meddled. In the end, Song Pei even cursed me out. Song Pei's courage was admirable. Not only did he defy the imperial decree to marry Su Weiner, he also disregarded the gossip and rumors, ensuring Su Weiner received a grand wedding. This solidified the notion of favoring the concubine and neglecting the wife. Now everyone began to sympathize with me. This grand wedding was lavish, nearly matching the scale of my own marriage to Song Pei years ago. All these years, while Song Pei fought in distant wars, I managed the Marquis household finances. Where did the Marquis estate suddenly find such vast sums of silver? I even took my dowry with Miss Holden. The Marquis estate be even more strained. It's truly baffling. It seemed Song Pei had been involved in some shady dealings. His defiance of the imperial decree had already displeased the emperor, who now questioned his loyalty. All I needed to do was fan the flames a little more, and Song Pei would be holding a winning hand only to throw it away. I seized the moment, feigning casual mention of the Marquis household while visiting the Empress for leisure. Before my marriage, the Empress and I were close confidants, though post-wedding constraints made meetings difficult. Our bond remained as strong as ever. Naturally, she sympathized deeply with my divorce situation. Our idle chat drifted toward the Marquis household's excessive extravagance. The more the Empress pondered it, the more perplexed she became. This grand wedding had been excessively lavish. The gold ornaments and wedding attire alone on Su Weiner were worth tens of thousands of taels. Moreover, Su Weiner's origins were obscure, and she had no maternal family to rely on. Judging by Song Pei's official salary, he could never have afforded such an extravagant dowry. The Empress, ever loyal to me, promptly whispered her concerns into the emperor's ear. The emperor had long harbored reservations about Song Pei, and the investigation proceeded without delay. What they uncovered was shocking. The Ministry of Revenue discovered Song Pei had embezzled substantial military funds for a general leading troops into battle. Embezzling military pay was no trivial matter. In a fit of rage, the emperor stripped Song Pei of his marquis title and banished him to a remote frontier. Plunged from lofty nobility to a border-guarding general, Song Pei felt a crushing sense of loss. His discontent bred a growing irascibility. He lashed out furiously at Song Hao and his mother, and even his patience with Su Weiner began to fray. At first, it was merely a slight annoyance, expressed through a few unkind words. Later, growing weary of even looking at Su Weiner and unable to touch her, Song Pei began hurling insults at her. When spies brought these reports to my courtyard, I was sipping wine and nibbling snacks, thoroughly enjoying myself. "Ah, Zhu, come here." I summoned a guard, carefully instructing him on specific phrasing to spread throughout the Marquis residence. Servants throughout the estate were buzzing with gossip. If the new wife hadn't made such a spectacle of her wedding, the truth would never have surfaced. The more he heard, the more furious Song Pei grew, convinced that if not for forcing Su Weiner into imperial robes, things wouldn't have escalated this far. Song Pei beat Su Weiner senseless, then petitioned the emperor claiming she had instigated his actions against his will. Against his will. Yet military funds flowed freely into his pockets. He once treasured Su Weiner like a precious jewel, yet now pushed her forward as a scapegoat. It seems Su Weiner, Gu Weiner, and Lu Weiner were nothing more than his playthings. Song Pei cared only for his own power and influence, never truly valuing anyone. The moment Song Pei shifted blame onto Su Weiner, I urged the emperor to thoroughly investigate her background. How did Su Weiner, a woman of unknown origin, suddenly appear on Song Pei's journey back from the frontier, in that land of endless sandstorms? Where did this woman from the south come from? I hadn't paid much heed before, but now, upon reflection, the details send shivers down my spine. This affair is likely far more complicated and troublesome than we imagined. Su Weiner was pregnant, and Song Pei didn't want her to be exposed to any harm during the investigation. Yet imperial orders could not be defied. Su Weiner was thus brought to the Ministry of Justice for a thorough inquiry into her background, constrained by her special circumstances. The ministry dared not use harsh methods. They feared disturbing the child within her womb, making interrogation difficult. After several days, Su Weiner's true nature was uncovered. She was an enemy spy, secretly colluding with hostile nations. Her mission was to entangle Song Pei, sowing discord between the duke's household, the emperor, and the marquis' estate. Chaos within the empire would be a boon to the enemy, seizing the opportunity to weaken the court's powerful ministers, breaching fortified cities, and establishing a rival kingdom would become child's play. Song Pei had truly shot himself in the foot. Now, forget demotion and exile, his very head was on the line. Song Pei, I have treated you generously, yet you dare collude with enemy spies. Song Pei, how dare you? The emperor's wrath knew no bounds. No matter how Song Pei pleaded his case, it was futile. Immediately, the emperor issued his verdict. Song Pei was found guilty of treason and collusion with the enemy. Treason and collaboration with the enemy were no minor offenses. They were crimes severe enough to condemn Song Pei to a lifetime of imprisonment. Fortunately, Song Pei and I had already divorced. Otherwise, I would have been implicated in this affair. Not only that, but the entire duke's household would have been dragged into it. Me parents, my eldest brother, none would have escaped unscathed. Now, none of this concerns me. I merely watch coldly, utterly indifferent. Before his prison sentence could begin, Song Pei, driven by some madness, dared to harbor rebellious thoughts. Rebellion. How dare Song Pei even think of it, having already been stripped of his marquis title? His standing in the court had plummeted, compounded by scandals like favoring a concubine over his wife and embezzling military provisions. Few remained loyal to him. The path to rebellion had barely begun, and the foremost challenge was provisions. Without provisions, all soldiers would starve. How could any soldier fight fiercely for a commander who couldn't even provide basic sustenance? Gradually, men began to abandon Song Pei. Those who advocated surrender or attempted to flee were discovered and met their end in pools of blood. Song Pei killed them personally, his rage driving him to merciless violence. He cast aside years of brotherhood forged in life-and-death battles. These were men he had led for so long. Su Weiner had drained the Song family's coffers, leaving insufficient funds to pay the troops marching on the capital. With no other choice, Song Pei forced his soldiers to pillage and slaughter the populace. Wails of grief echoed everywhere, and the land was laid waste. In the end, Song Pei was defeated utterly and completely. He lacked sufficient provisions to sustain his forces, and he held no absolute military authority or strength to back him. He had no commander who commanded the people's trust, nor did he possess the popular support that should have come naturally. Song Pei's rebel army crumbled like scattered sand, easily crushed. Soon, Song Pei was captured alive and imprisoned alongside his mother and younger brother Song Hao. Su Weiner had perished long before at the Ministry of Justice, her unborn child, a pitiable soul, never having seen the light of day. The marquis' residence was ransacked clean. Even ordinary ornaments swept away. Not a single maid or servant escaped unscathed. Their fates were grim indeed. This can't be right. This can't be right. I am a general renowned throughout the land. I am a marquis personally enfeoffed by His Majesty. I am innocent. I did not betray my country or collude with the enemy. Listening to Song Pei's wails, the two jailers guarding the cell struck up a conversation. TSK. The Song family. Just like that. They're being exterminated down to the 9th generation. What a pity. Who says it isn't? Remember when the princess from the duke's mansion first married into the Song family? How glorious they were back then. They rose to the top their entire lives, never expecting to fall because Oftsk. Song Pei regretted it. Hearing the jailer's words, he had an epiphany. Filled with bitter remorse, he began to regret losing his mind and rescuing Su Weiner, who had collapsed on the road back to the capital, bringing her back to the Marquis residence. He began to regret letting lust cloud his judgment. Fighting bitterly with me over a mere woman of unknown status, he began to regret his stubborn arrogance, thinking I would surely regret divorcing him and signing the divorce papers without hesitation. He began to regret. But what good was regret now? Perhaps reflection after making a mistake could still be useful, but when one errs repeatedly, reaching the point of no return, repentance comes too late. No one will accept it. Mrs. Song couldn't endure the torment of prison life and threw herself against the wall until she died. Song Hao and Song Pei still clung to life, waiting for the day they'd be beheaded, living comfortably in my little courtyard. I couldn't resist adding a bit of excitement to my otherwise dull life. What kind of good life could they possibly have in prison? Both of them were now disheveled and filthy. Without the jailer's guidance, I nearly failed to recognize them. He, He, save me. A day as husband and wife brings 100 days of affection. We were married 13 years. You can't stand by and watch me die. I couldn't help but laugh aloud. You didn't speak like this when we divorced. I sneered, my words dripping with impatience. I'm sorry. He. It's me, Song Pei. Who wronged you? He. That bitch blinded me. Please. Forgive me. Will you? Fearing I'd leave, he knelt on the ground, spilling these hollow words. No. I'm just an idle princess now, uninvolved in state affairs. My reply was blunt, leaving no room for compromise. Surprisingly, Song Pei restrained himself considerably, refraining from hurling insults at me. He shoved Song Hao, who was huddled trembling in the corner, urging him to call me mother. Song Hao's spirit was utterly broken. Only after Song Pei kicked him hard did he snap out of his stupor. Mother. Save me. Mother. I'm your child. My child when it suits him. Nice try. I clapped in admiration, praising Song Hao's impressive quick change act. I've made it clear Yuqi is my only child now. Hearing my response, Song Hao frantically protested. No. Mother. I'm your own flesh and blood. That bastard's some random bastard from who knows where. I'm the real heir of the Duke's household. Mother, you can't abandon me. I carry the Duke's blood. He crawled out from his cowering corner, grabbed the prison bars, and tried to reach through them to touch me. Naturally, I avoided him, refusing to let him touch me. Don't even think about it. You bear the Song surname. I bear the Li surname. We're no kin. Besides, you have your own mother. Have you forgotten? Too bad. She's already dead. I casually delivered the news of Su Weiner's death. Song Hao's expression froze, shifting subtly before revealing a look of pleading. Mother, your son truly knows he was wrong. Once I'm free, I'll serve you faithfully. I'll study diligently. Please. Mother, I don't want to die. I replied casually. I can't save you from prison. Unexpectedly, the father and son misunderstood, thinking that if they could escape captivity, I would guarantee their lifelong safety. To my surprise, these two had some cunning after all. News spread through the palace that Song Pei and Song Hao had successfully escaped. I specifically ordered the guards at my residence to conduct thorough searches and maintain strict vigilance, ensuring Song Pei and Song Hao couldn't sneak in. Sure enough, Song Pei and Song Hao came looking for me. They were carried in by my guards, knives pressed to their necks. At that moment, I was resting in the small courtyard, basking in the sun, fearing they might disturb my rest. They knelt there until I opened my eyes. Mother, He. We escaped. Song Pei kept calling me a he. while Song Hao kept calling me mother. Hearing it made me sick. So bold now, daring to break out of prison. I chuckled, puzzled, teasing them. Mother, mother, you promised me. I looked at Song Hao, bewildered. Huh, what did I promise you, mother? You clearly promised to keep me safe and let me study properly. Mother, you said it yourself in prison that day. It was all his own fabrication. Yet now it became my promise. How ridiculous. Oh, is that so? I don't remember, but the imperial examination notice was posted yesterday. Seeing a glimmer of hope, Song Hao immediately pleaded. It's okay, mother. Next year I will definitely make it. I studied his eyes, so strikingly like mine, and spoke softly. Sorry, I don't need it anymore. I already have a top scholar. No sooner had I spoken than a voice suddenly came from behind me. Mother, good-He, you're back. The arrival was none other than Yu Qi, this year's top scholar whose name was inscribed on the golden list, me only child. I left Song Hao and Song Pei behind and walked toward Yu Qi, leaving Song Hao gritting his teeth in frustration. He. Song Pei called out again. I turned back and gave a few instructions to the guards. I nearly forgot send these two to the authorities. Dismissed. Dismissed. Satisfied, I slipped from their sight, intending to sample the fresh fruit mother had sent yesterday. He, you can't do this. He, you stood by and let them die. May you meet a horrible end. A horrible end. That was for the last life. The next day, both were beheaded in the autumn execution. As for me, everything went smoothly. The end.